Hello and welcome. I am Excellent and this is my channel. And today we're going to leave the United States and we're going to talk about some of Canada's most riveting unsolved mysteries. Before we get started, you know the drill. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please do so, and if you do, please click that bell so you'll be notified when my content goes live. Also, if you would leave a comment or share the video, that helps as well. And if you have been enjoying the 31 days of Halloween, there is a tip jar below. It's a little button and it says thanks. And if you feel so inclined to do so, that would be much appreciated. But as usual, it is not necessary. All right, let's talk about these. On December 1st, 1919, Ambrose Small, a Toronto theater owner, sold the bulk of his empire to a Montreal company for $1.7 million. Can you believe that? In 1919. That was, it's a lot now, but that was a fortune. The sale itself was not suspicious, given the growing popularity of moving pictures. Small had decided to divest himself before it was too late. The next day, he and his wife Teresa together deposited the money. On the street, they parted ways. Small promised to be home by dinner, but he never arrived. Small had a reputation for carousing, and Teresa waited 2 weeks to report his absence. Today, the potential killers sound like players in a murder mystery game. Wife, Teresa, a fixture in Toronto society. Small's money-grubbing sister, with no other source of income, the disgruntled secretary, and at least one mistress. There was even the possibility of a gangster hit, considering that Small had a substantial gambling habit. But even though suspects were aplenty, the investigation was clumsy at best, and it was a different era of policing. At the time, police mostly patrolled the streets and successfully solved crimes by happening to be present when they were committed. A series of private investigators tried their luck at cracking the case. So did clairvoyants and cryptographers. Theories multiplied, and the tabloids made a meal of every false lead they could, including a deathbed confession from Teresa, later deemed a forgery. Ultimately, neither Small nor a culprit was ever found, and in 1960, the Toronto police officially closed the case. In 1795, 3 teenagers discovered an odd hole in the ground on an island off the south shore of Nova Scotia. The area was rumored to be a pit stop for pirates, so the boys began digging, hoping to unearth buried treasure. Instead, they struck layer after layer of buried timber. Though the trio never found any booty, they did discover a cryptic stone slate inscribed with unfamiliar symbols, a cipher that, at least in their interpretation, promised a huge payday. Falls, explosions, suffocation, and other accidents have claimed the lives of at least 6 men who tried to find the island's prize. So far, explorers have spent millions on the search and found not a penny. I actually watched a documentary about this. All right, you guys, let's get together. We can find it. 1967 was a bumper year for unsolved Canadian mysteries. During the centenary of Confederation, the country was visited by multiple UFOs, or people have claimed. The convincing sightings prompted investigations by intelligence agencies and discussions in the House of Commons. Rational minds, of which I'm not sure, we have but they might dismiss the reports as a product of the times. I wouldn't, but... Anxious about the Cold War and excited by the Apollo era, Canadians were gazing skyward more than ever before. It was a perfect storm for an unusual thing to be reported, says science writer Chris Rutkowski, the author of several books about UFO sightings. Any type of intrusion, people seeing things that shouldn't be flying in Canadian airspace, was certainly of interest. Here are 3 of that year's most mystifying close encounters. Falcon Lake, Manitoba. In May of 1967, an amateur geologist named Stefan Michalak went prospecting in the wilderness east of Winnipeg and encountered a silver saucer-shaped craft about 10 meters wide and 4 meters high, grounded in the forest. As he approached, he heard the whir of engines coming from an open door. When he touched the vessel, it burned the fingertips of his gloves and shot out a burst of compressed air, scorching his shirt, his cap, and skin, before quickly rotating and zooming away. Michalak was initially treated for burns and later for reoccurring blackouts. The RCMP discovered a barren 15-foot circle containing radioactive soil where he reported seeing the UFO. Kananaskis, Alberta. Out for a hike with 2 friends in July, journalist and novelist Warren Smith spotted a shiny disc swiftly rising and falling overhead. He took 2 photos before the object disappeared in the distance, and then he mailed them to the Department of National Defense. After both Canadian and American intelligence studied the pictures, they concluded he'd indeed seen 2 unidentified flying objects about 15 meters in diameter and 3 meters tall. The agencies added in an official report, if the story and photographs are a hoax, then it is a well-prepared one. Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia. Late one October evening, at least 11 witnesses in this tiny town, including the RCMP officers, sailors, and pilots flying nearby, all reported seeing a large object with 4 flashing lights hovering above and then crashing into the harbor. Upon investigation, authorities found sulfurous yellow foam on the surface of the water. But countless diving expeditions, including one as recent as 2018, have turned up no wreckage or evidence of anything unusual. The French explorer René Robert Cavallet has many claims to fame. He claimed the state of Louisiana for King Louis, and he was one of the first Europeans to traverse the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. His most mysterious legacy, however, is Le Griffon, the ship he lost on the Great Lakes. In 1679, Cavallet sailed Le Griffon from Niagara Falls to an island near modern-day Green Bay, Wisconsin, where he traded with its indigenous inhabitants. Eager to explore the area, he disembarked and ordered his crew to return to Niagara with a load of furs. It was the last time Cavallet or anyone saw Le Griffon. Since then, many historians have put forward their own theories to explain the ship's disappearances. The crew made off with their wares, maybe. A local tribe captured and burned Le Griffon. Or the boat was wrecked on Manitoulin Island. None of those hypotheses have satisfied modern mythbusters, though, and they continue to search for Le Griffon. And the last one for today. In June of 1901, gunshots rang out from behind the doors of Red Path Manor, home to Montreal's famous family of sugar barons. Minutes later, the blood-soaked bodies of Ada Marie, who was 59, and her 26-year-old son, Clifford, were discovered by her other son, Peter. The coroner, and a family physician determined that Clifford accidentally fired during a seizure, then turned the gun on himself. The official account is possible if it's true that Clifford had epilepsy, which there is no record existing of him having the condition prior to this event. And over a century later, mystery shrouds the two Redpath family deaths. Police were never called, and both bodies were buried within 48 hours. Rumors spread about another potential suspect, including Ada Maria's daughter, Amy, who likely stood to inherit a chunk of the family fortune. Today, researchers suspect that the coroner's account was devised to protect the wealthy family's privacy and not reveal the truth. I have more of these, so there might be another segment on that. Thank you for coming, and good night.